Good evening. I'm Deepa, founder of Poorna Wellbeing, and I'm very happy to come live yet again with Poorna Wellbeing Chetanaa. And today's topic is very, very interesting for me. Um, and, and the topic today is practice authenticity and live guilt free. Um, so, Poorna Wellbeing Chetanaa came into being to so the whole idea is I pick up topics which are important to the self, to you, me. We may be going through it, we may be dealing with something, and when you hear perspectives, listen to when I share, and most of the times I'm sharing from my life. You can get perspectives for your own life, and we never know how what makes a difference to us. So thank you for joining, and stay tuned, and it's not going to be too long. So let's see if it makes a difference to you and all those of you who watch it later. um, so this topic, I have asked this question to myself many times: what is authenticity? And I've always asked myself, is authenticity saying the truth to everyone all the time? In a relationship, is it about saying honestly what I feel, what I want to do, and be okay with the consequences, even if the other person is not would not be, and I know that they wouldn't be okay with the consequences, in spite of feeling the fear of sharing the truth? Is it being non-manipulative? Is authenticity about myself or the other or both? Hi Anusha, good afternoon. Is authenticity and truthfulness the same? And these are words that, and I've researched the dictionary meaning also, but I was never able to understand what exactly it is. And I've stayed with this inquiry for a very long time. Today, I think I'm in a stage where I've found answers from my life, and I'm going to share my reflections based on them. So, what I understood is it's very simple. Authenticity means what I think, what I feel, and what I do, which is my actions, are all aligned. It's not a value judgment. This is right and this is wrong. It's not black and white thinking. But it's about what I'm feeling at this point of time. Am I doing it? And or am I procrastinating, or am I thinking, if I do, what's going to happen? What are the consequences? And I'm not doing anything about it. So, and I realized that in 2013, when I quit my work, I was working for a government organization, great job, great pay. I quit it because when I asked myself, I said, I'm not happy. I have to pull myself up in the morning to show up at work, and it's not making me happy. And I just quit, not knowing what I'm going to do in the future. Now that's living authentic. That's practicing authenticity. In spite of people telling me that I'm a fool to leave such a highly paid job, to leave such a great organization, and I was working for the Aditya Birla Group. In spite of them telling me, I said no, it doesn't feel true to me. I don't think I can continue, because I cannot cheat myself and say that no, everything is okay. So the opposite of authenticity is numbing what you're feeling and shutting your inner voice and saying it's okay or nothing. Just move on. It's a great company. Just work for 10 more years, and then you can save a lot of money and all of that. But to me, it didn't feel authentic, and therefore I quit. So simple. Authenticity to me is when my thinking, my feeling, and my actions are aligned. And after taking the action, I clearly remember the feeling when, and then I have also reflected on other actions I have taken. After taking an action, one feels free, relieved, one feels clear from inside, and really unapologetic, because you have acted in alignment with what your inner told you. So there is no guilt at that time. There's absolutely no guilt, because you have listened inside and you have acted on that listening. And it's not that you may not have pain. You may have pain because by being authentic to yourself, you may be causing, you may wonder if you lose a relationship, or There might be consequences to it. So there might be worry, there might be pain. But yet in all of that, you say that I can sleep peacefully because I have cared for myself. So living authentic is the biggest self-care tool that I can give myself. It's a gift that I give myself. And if I'm able to consistently give this gift to myself, my life is free of guilt. My life is free of shame. My life is free of tension, manipulation, any knots, any energetic entanglements. It's really free because what are you feeling? The feeling is congruence. You know, uh, congruence is complete alignment. When you really feel like hand in glove, when you feel aligned inside, and from that space you're doing all your actions outside, that's completely congruent, and that's a beautiful gift that we can give ourselves. Now you may ask, why did I connect authenticity with guilt? I tell you because for a long period of time I have stayed. So let's look at what is guilt. Guilt is an emotion where I'm always beating myself for not being good enough because I have kind of a standard, and that standard I'm always imagining. Sometimes it's imagining, sometimes it's real, but I'm always thinking that I am not living up to that standard. I've compromised on that standard, and that's not okay. So it's a very black and white thing, way of living. I'm living the standard or I'm not living the standard. And there is nothing, no possibilities in between that I consider when I experience guilt. And for a long time in my life, I have felt this emotion. And whenever I feel this emotion, what happens is that when I feel guilt, it's very difficult to sustain the guilt. So what do? I numb it by just moving on to something else. And a lot of us, if you're listening to me, and six of you are listening to me, if you're listening to me and you ask yourself, the times when I have felt guilty, yeah, all the times I felt guilty, I felt small. I would have shrunk. After being fearful. Why does that happen? How does guilt enter our system? Because guilt and shame are two emotions honestly we don't need. It kills us. It kills our self-esteem. It kills our confidence. It kills the whole uprightness. When I stand upright, my spine is straight. I feel that power. I feel that confidence. When I experience guilt and shame, I'm cringing. I'm shrinking. I'm contracting. So it's very opposite to who I must be and who I can be as a human being. How does guilt enter our body, our system? It typically comes from the upbringing process. There's a lot of theory to it, but I'm just making it quite practical so that it's easy for us to understand. Guilt enters, much early in our childhood. Typically, if we have, let's say, critical parents or critical caregivers, not necessarily parents, but if we are living with our grandparents, or if we are living with our aunts and uncles or a joint family, and we've experienced criticism early on in life, and that gets reinforced again and again when we were a child. What happens is when we grow up, we become that critical parent and we start beating ourselves up. So anything that I don't do well, I beat myself up and I experience guilt because I have not lived up to the standards. So actually speaking, at that time, that your parent or the caregiver would have looked at that situation and told you, but then you as an adult have carried it forward and reinforced it in your life. It was a seed, it has now become a tree. And that as an emotion, because you have not processed it or looked at it, you have continued to feel that emotion. So when you feel guilt, what happens? What happens? You can't fully express yourself. There is always fear of making a mistake, fear of being wrong, fear of not being good enough, and you're almost all the time walking on eggshells. You're not sure about yourself. You don't know where you will tip off, and when you tip off, you'll experience guilt. So what will you do? You'll always engage, in people pleasing behaviors. You want to live as per how others want you to live. So, it's called living as per the outer, and I call it living as per the outer. Now, imagine, it's like when we are living as per the outer. I mean, the image right now that's coming to me is that, in those fairs and all, there used to be this bandar who, when the master says jump, the guy will jump. When the master says rotate, the monkey will rotate. He's trained to do that. Whatever the master says, he has to do it. And that's what happens when we live our life pleasing outsiders or pleasing others. And the other can be anyone who is other than us. Because we are so cut off from inside that we are almost living as per the outside. But living with authenticity means we do not really listen to the outside, but we come back inside and we get in touch with what I am feeling in my inside, what I am feeling in my thinking, in my feeling, and then act based on that. So you see, when there's guilt, you cut off from the inside, and then when you have to come back to authenticity, you have to come inside. So it's really an opposite movement of the inner and the outer. Now, we are not saying that the outer is not important, but living our life in the outer is dangerous. It's dangerous because it's like cutting off me from myself. And who is cutting me off? I am cutting myself off from my inside. Extremely dangerous, extremely devastating for my soul, for myself. It could also be, because a lot of times we engage in inauthentic behavior because as we are growing up, we have not seen enough role models who have lived their truth. For example, when I've grown up, it's our parents basically, whom we look at. Now, if let's say your mother or a primary caregiver at home has not lived their truth and has not been authentic to themselves, and you can see it because children pick up and you see that they have not spoken their truth, they have not lived authentic. What do you as a child think? That living authentic will not lead you to peace. That's what you make as a narrative, and then you live that narrative, and then you strive to live that narrative. So when you strive to live that narrative that living authentic is not worth it, or living authentic is scary, living authentic means you will be insulted. Living authentic means you have to pay a price for it. So when you hold such narratives against living authentic, it's a reverse movement. You can't reach out towards living authentic. You will move reverse from living authentic. And believe me, whatever I'm saying, all this is from my life, because it's taken me years to find role models who are living authentic, to undergo a coaching process to feel what is living authentic, because fear as an emotion deeply grips. And when it grips, you can feel that fear in your body. When the fear grips and tells you, no, Deepa, you cannot speak your truth. If you speak your truth, you will be devastated. There is this deep voice that comes here. And when that fear speaks, and it pulls you back. When it pulls you back, you can't speak with authenticity. You will need a far bigger force to pull yourself. It's like throwing away that shackles of fear and going forward and says, no, come what may. I am going to speak my truth. I am going to say, yes, I screwed up. I am going to say, yes, I made a mistake, and do it, because that's when I'll be free. I can live happy. I can live in congruence and peace. A lot of times the answer, especially in relationships, if you see, authenticity plays a very important role. In relationships, actually, authenticity is a boon. If I'm authentic and if I am willing all the time to speak authentic in my relationships with friends, with my spouse, with my children, especially children, oh my God, they are they'll catch you. they can absolutely catch you. And so if you are inauthentic, uh, Kandala Ramaya, I'm talking about authenticity and the practice of authenticity, and how when you practice authenticity you can be guilt free. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So when we look at authenticity in relationships, uh, I mean, it's almost primal. It's a non-negotiable authenticity in relationships. But it is so difficult at times because of fear. And like I told you, the upbringing plays a very important role. Let's say when you are a child, you have experienced abandonment, or if you've experienced untimely caregiving, or if you've experienced a fear of losing. At that time, you fear that if I speak my truth, I will lose the relationship. And yet again, fear manifests. And to protect my relationship, I'm going against the wave. And I'm actually pleasing the other person. To an extent, it works because the other person will not know that you're being inauthentic. But there are times when you have to face it, and when it comes out that you've been inauthentic, for the fear of being left out or for the fear of being abandoned, and you please that relationship, it's a bigger loss you have to face, and it's a bigger loss that the people in the relationship have to face. So however uncomfortable that I may feel, it's best. I mean, the path to walk is the path of authenticity. And I reiterate, the path of authenticity is whatever I feel, whatever I think, I do that. I take actions on that. Thinking, feeling, and willing aligned is a simple recipe to really be authentic. Yeah. And when I was talking about in relationships, it's very connected to boundaries. When I was inauthentic in my relationship, because I used to have a fear of losing my relationship, and when had the fear, I would find it very difficult to say no. I would find it almost, it's not an option for me to say no, because if I say no, what if they get angry? What if they leave? So there is always at the back of my mind this fear of losing that relationship. Yeah. And it's always a struggle to say no. And when I say no, when I'm not saying no, I'm saying yes every single time. And I'm being totally inauthentic to myself, because I may not want to watch a movie which is violent. But if my family wants to watch a violent movie, and if I'm not saying no, I am going through that motion of seeing the movie. I don't want that energy in my life, but I'm allowing that energy in my life. Look at the disaster to myself. Oh, come on. And I don't realize until I realize that, oh my God, I love myself so dearly that I can't allow this to happen. But I have allowed it to happen only because I do not know that there is another way. I do not know that there is a way to say no. I do not know that I can say no. I don't want to see this. It's a better use of my time is to do something else, but not watch. But at the same time, say I love my family. I mean, and when you say no very politely and vulnerably, saying that it impacts me when I see violent movies, and let's do something together, which is not this, or you see it this time, next time we'll see a movie of my choice or of our choice. And it has worked for me, and it has worked magic, because now my family knows that if it's a violent movie, I'm not going to watch, and they neither do they expect, and nor do I feel guilty of saying no to them. So you see how by asserting boundaries, by being authentic, I have been able to set boundaries, and I have been able to live guilt free. But here the question is, am I silent enough to even know that violent movies does this to me? Do I even know what I feel, and where do I feel in my body? I mean, when there is violence and when I look at it, I'm not able to sleep. It keeps circulating in my mind, and it impacts my whole being, and I'm so aware of it in my body that I cannot afford its presence in my life. Yeah. So knowing what impacts me positively, knowing what impacts me negatively, and speaking that makes me feel very aligned and makes me feel authentic. And I've seen that this is a process. It's not that oh my God, it's been such a process for me. It's been a long, long, long process, first of all, to realize what I feel and think. And then to say, it's okay to say what I feel and think. And it's okay if I have to lose that relationship, because if that relationship really matters to me, then they'll not go away. And stop being the child and be the adult. Grow up and take charge for yourself, because I am more important to myself than what others think about me. And trust me, I have not lost any relationship, because I have been authentic, and I have stepped out from relationships because I do not want to entertain that energy in my life. So there also have been authentic, and I feel okay about it, because I think that's what I need. So it's very interesting journey, and I feel if I'm not authentic to my own deeper feelings and needs, I'm cheating myself, and uh, I don't think I'm giving that choice to myself anymore. I cannot cheat myself anymore. I have to speak. But it's a muscle, it's a practice. It's like more I use the muscle becomes flexible, and there are different nuances that that uncovers, and then I'm getting led by those nuances, and I implement that in my life. So how can we build this as a practice? And I've been able to figure a method in that madness, and this is the method I use. So I just try to decode that method, and probably share it with all of you. Simple, 2 3 steps. The first step, you know is the desire to be authentic. you know what does it mean? It means that I'm telling myself, Deepa, enough of cheating yourself, enough of manipulating yourself, enough of boundaryless behavior. Let's get straight. I want to be authentic. I feel my emotions. I feel my thoughts. I think it. And I'm going to act as per that. And I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to not act. I am definitely going to act. So it's the desire. Not that when I have the desire, I will know how to act. Of course, I have to learn the tricks. But the first step is the intention, is the desire. Because if I have the intention and the desire, then the attention comes there. And what I focus on will obviously, it will grow. There comes space for that in my life. I think sometimes this whole desire also comes when we are tired of being inauthentic. And what are the ways we realize? We feel like entangled. We feel our energy is locked. We feel that we have the potential, but I'm not using the potential. I feel like somebody's pushing me. There's no somebody from the outside. I am only pushing myself. Pushing myself inside. So and then the feeling like I don't want to hide myself anymore. I want to show up. I want to show the brilliance that I have. I want to show the radiance that I have. And I don't want to, I'm not shy about it. I'm not guilty that I'm good, that I'm radiant. So this is the desire to be authentic. And the day this desire comes, and the day this desire is burning, I think it's like we've set the stage on fire. You know, it's a joy. I can feel the day when I feel this, and um, you know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I do a lot of journaling, and I do art journaling, and I have a few art journals I've done, where when this desire has come, my journals are full of radiance and vibrance, and I almost feel like if this picture could speak, it would speak loud and said, burn the world, show yourself out, speak up, be authentic, set boundaries. This is what it would say. So that's the first step. Show, feel it, feel the intention, feel the desire. And then the second step is, you set the intention. Now you have to get data for this whole process. You need to build the muscle. You need to know If I have to move this, which muscle is this? What do I really have to do? What is the anatomy like? You need to understand what stops me from being from being authentic. Sorry. So, and I've seen, and thanks to my coach and thanks to the different workshops and the continuous reflections I engage in, I have realized that it's because of the already always existing narratives that I have built in it, I have watered, that I have nurtured in my life, which don't work for me actually. But and these are mostly for me, they were fear narratives. So what if I speak up, or if I spoke up, then what will my mother think of me? So what will somebody think of me? Or somebody was disrespected because they spoke up, so I too will be, so better keep quiet. So there are narratives which do not allow me to grow, and I'm continuing to hold those narratives. But really, when I'm journaling, when I'm reflecting, those fears, those narratives really may not be mine. They may have been mine at some point in time, but I may have even stepped out of it and I have not known about it. So it's about reclaiming myself. It's about reclaiming and witnessing myself and seeing my narratives, and not feeding them actually, not engaging in those narratives. And like my coach would say sometimes that she says, you love to revel and to be entangled in your narratives. And when she would say that, I would go back and ask myself, really, am I doing it? And I would catch it. It would be true that I'm enjoying to be in the narratives because I'm used to it. I'm programmed to be in it. And it takes an axe to really axe it and say, hey, this is not the narrative I want. So again, I have brought the desire, and then I have to change the narratives. So I have to bring a new seed into me. I have to change it. The seeds have to change because they are the same seeds. They're going to give the same tree. I cannot expect a mango to give an apple, a mango seed to give an apple. I have to change the seed, the tree that I want. So what we could do is ask a few questions. And I used to ask these questions. They were very uncomfortable. But I would ask, what is the worst thing that will happen, if I speak up? If I spoke my truth, then what would I really say? And so I would write down the narrative. What if I had to say it? What is the script? Because it's not my nature to speak it. So I would ask myself, what do I fear that would happen if I speak my truth right now to this person? And then those fears will reveal, and I'm seeing those fears real time. They're right in front of me. But I would also ask this question, what would happen to me if I don't say my truth? And that used to be shocking because I would know that I would shrink. I would not be okay about it. So the question is, I am not okay to be quiet. I'm not okay to say it because I don't know how to say it. So I just have to practice how to say it. So then I would, then the thing is, okay, so how would I say it? So write the script down. You can write the script. And when you write, your hands have an intelligence. When you journal, when you write with your hands have an intelligence. Your mind blocks because of fear, but your hands will not be blocked. Allow your hands to write. And they will write the script. And when you read the script, I have to, even today, it's a muscle that I have to master. So even today, when I find it difficult, I write down the script. I don't have to go back to the script because I know when I have written down the script, I have sown a new seed for it to grow into a tree. And this is a regular practice of journaling and reviewing what will I lose? What is the fear I have if I speak it? What is the loss if I don't speak it? And how do I want to speak it? And write down how do I want to speak it. A lot of times, honestly, if I were to do it on my own, I would have found it very difficult. So during the process of being coached, I realized it. And now I hold, as a life coach, I hold space for many where we journey together to manifest the same process for them. But the third step is equally important. So the first step in this whole process is about intention, holding my intention. The second step is about now practicing it, so reflecting, journaling, and then taking the action. Yeah. The third step is actually having a regular practice, a silence practice or a mindfulness practice. Because I feel that the metaphor that comes to me is, this pond. If there is a stirred pond, you can see there is mud. But when there is a still pond, you can even see through what's there inside. So when there is a still mind, I have seen, especially in the mornings when I finish my meditation process and my kriya and my meditation, there is such a clear mind that insights come to me, ideas come to me, thoughts come to me, which are coming from a pure space of possibility, from a space of the future. Now, this comes because I have practiced the art of stilling my mind at that point in time. Some other time, let's say I'm back into my real world, my mind may not be still, but in the morning it is. So when we cultivate this process of stilling the mind, more often than not, I am in touch with what I feel and what I think. And more often than not, I would be able to act on this. So I feel this is almost like cultivating my being or practicing the being space. From this being space, I can really, it's like a foundation. Imagine that I'm laying the foundation with this practice. And then all the journaling and all the actions are like the house that I build on this foundation. And as many layers, multi-storied I can build, but the foundation has to be strong. So having this practice is like building the foundation, and then building your building. Erecting your building is like the acting and practicing authenticity. So the more I practice, it feeds into my foundation. It feeds into my being, and then the being and the doing is completely aligned. How beautiful! How beautiful! When I'm thinking itself, I feel so thrilled. And right now, when I'm saying it, I feel I can authentically talk about it because I've seen the time in my life when I was inauthentic, and I'm seeing the time in my life right now when I'm walking very consciously the path of authenticity and committing to live guilt-free. Because honestly, I don't think I want guilt in my life, not even an ounce of it. And a lot of times, earlier it was not a choice, but today I'm asking myself, do I really need to feel this, or can I just uproot it? It's like weeding. Can I uproot? I can see it that I'm feeling guilty right now. Is it mine? Does it belong to me, or does it belong to somewhere else? Can I uproot it? And I just uproot it and throw it away. And that also is authenticity to self. Practicing authenticity is my gift. I give to myself, and only I can do it for myself. I can't be authentic for you. If you have to practice it, you have to be authentic for yourself. It has to come from within, and it has to even act. The actions have to come from within. And I feel, that all of us have this beautiful, radiant self deep inside. Lot of us feel constricted or shrunk because there are a lot of veils. We are veiled. The whole practice of authenticity is to remove the veils. And who can stop this brilliance from this radiance from reaching out to people? So it's like living my possibility, living my highest possibility. Why wouldn't I want it? Isn't it beautiful? So yes, so this is all I have to share today on this topic, very close to my heart. It's very, very close to my heart. So as you listen to it, or even afterwards, if you have your thoughts, if you have any questions, if you have any, if you want to discuss this, I will be open, because the more we discuss, the more I get to uncover nuances of this aspect in my life. And I feel it's an endless subject. That's how I feel. I can stop here now, but it's an endless subject for me, especially because I can see layers opening every single day. And till I die, I think I'll strive to look at what is authenticity for me. Um, One of the practice that has helped me in this process is the practice of surrender. And I learned it from my guru, Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji, when he made us do a practice of surrender, surrendering the past, surrendering the present, and surrendering the future. And and I feel like that really helps me, because if I surrender completely, I'm not carrying the baggage. I can just be authentic. I can just be in the moment. So yeah. So here's what I have. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And next week I will meet you with Poorna Wellbeing Samvada. And you can watch, you can watch my page, and you can stay updated on who's going to be coming for the dialogue next week. It's going to be very interesting. Thank you, and have a great evening, and enjoy the festival tomorrow. Of course, festivities have begun today. Enjoy the festival tomorrow, and may Ganesha bring a lot of peace and goodness to you, me, and the whole world. Thank you.